Listen to this episode if you feel like you don't have customers actually engaging with you on social media. This is something that I get so many people to reach out to me about is they say, Maddie, I'm making all of this content, but I feel like my engagement is so incredibly low. Why do I not have people reaching out? Or maybe I have people reaching out, but it's either people that create exactly what you are creating or you have other business owners only. This is a really big topic and I wanted to cover it today. This was actually submitted by Hillary. She reached out on my social media and she said, only other business owners engage with my content. How can I fix that? So she is saying that it's only other people, other business owners, but it's a similar problem for a lot of people. Whether you don't have any engagement, whether you have other people that do exactly what you do creating, or it's just other business owners. There's three major reasons that this happens. First things first is that you did some sort of follow for follow or a follow giveaway, or you bought followers of some kind with other business owners or with people that do what you do. Another one is that you are actually creating content and using messaging that's actually relatable, helpful, or entertaining for business owners. So if you're saying, a day in the life of a small business owner, or saying, come behind the scenes with me, or like, what packaging am I using as a small business owner? I have a lot of people that want to create small business owner content, but small business owner content is actually going to attract other small business owners to your brand. So you don't want to speak to small business owners. You want to speak to actually your target audience. The next one is that you don't actually have enough customers in your audience. So you might have an audience, but it might actually be the wrong people. You might have an audience full of other business owners and you don't actually have enough people to get engagement. I want you to think about right now, before I get into what to do for all of those three different major reasons, I want you to think about right now, when was the last time you engaged with a business, with a brand? And I think most of us as business owners, we engage with other business owners really naturally and really easily. But I want you to think about like anybody random that you don't know, you don't have a connection to. When was the last time you sat down and you commented on their Instagram, or that you responded to their DMs, or that you actually were engaging with them? Especially on Instagram. Instagram has kind of lost that as the normal etiquette. Look at TikTok. It's really common to comment on people's stuff on TikTok. Comments are always full of people chatting with strangers. You see a lot more content of people that you don't know on TikTok than you do on some of these other platforms. Instagram, it is actually hard to get people to make comments and to comment on your posts. It's actually easier to get people to DM you on DM you through your stories and build engagement and connection on your Instagram stories. Not to say that you don't need comments, because comments are very helpful, but thinking about the last time and how you consume content sometimes can answer these questions that you have for yourself. So what I want you to do, if you are feeling this way, that your engagement is low, you don't know how to increase engagement, and really one of these three major reasons is, first I want you to audit your strategy and figure out which one of these three major reasons. Which one of these three major reasons have you actually experienced? Did you do a follow for follow? Did you do a follow giveaway? Did you buy some followers? Did you start an account that was your personal account and like move it into a business account where now your audience just isn't the right audience? Or you just have a bunch of other business owners in your profile? Have you been creating content for the wrong people? Or do you not actually have enough customers in your audience? So right now, do you know your ideal customer at the end of the day? Do you actually even know who you're trying to attract? And not just, women between the ages of 25 and 45. I want you to know their lifestyle. I want you to know what they eat for breakfast. I want you to know what nail color they have on. I want you to know what their motivations are, their biggest fears, their problems, the solutions that they're looking for. You need to know this person really, really well. If you don't, you can't actually attract them if you don't know who they are. You can't actually create content and have messaging that's going to call them in if you yourself don't even know who you're trying to call in. And women between the ages of 25 and 45 are like busy moms is not niche enough. You need to be more niche than that. So I want you to audit your strategy and identify which one of these problems is the problem that you have. If you did do a giveaway or you have the wrong people or you don't have enough people in your audience, I would recommend doing some sort of growth focus. As long as you know that you actually do have a sales process and you actually do have a sales strategy, having more people in your audience is helpful at a certain point. Now, what's not helpful is if you haven't actually taken the time to build a content strategy, you haven't actually taken the time to figure out like how to stay consistent with specific messaging, you don't actually have a strategy that you're following. That isn't always an audience problem. Sometimes it can be a content problem. There is a huge kind of conversation around the idea of like, okay, you're not getting engagement, it's because your content sucks. I don't think that's the case in absolutely everybody's business, but I do think there is an audience that you just aren't creating content that is actually engaging. So we want to look at having a growth phase where your focus really is on growing into the right audience, getting specific on who your ideal customer is, getting specific on what messaging is going to call them in, what are their problems, what solutions are you actually solving for them, and then how can we actually call them in? So you need to have that strategy piece prior to growing your audience. Will a bigger audience solve all of your lack of sales problems without having a sales strategy? If I ask you right now, what strategy do you follow on Instagram? And you have no idea how to answer that question, you probably don't have a sales strategy that you are following. If that is you, a bigger audience will not actually always help. If we're looking for engagement, yes, you might get more engagement with a bigger audience, but that doesn't mean it'll actually convert into sales. So if you have a giveaway, if you did a giveaway, or if you don't have enough customers in your audience, or you feel like you have the wrong audience in your following, then you should do a growth phase if you know that you are following a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you have to learn content strategy and a sales process prior to actually growing into having the right audience. The next one is if you feel like your content or your messaging was speaking to the wrong audience, if you feel like you built an audience, or if you're creating content for the small business owner, for the fellow artist, for the fellow person that's doing what you're doing, and you've built actually the wrong audience, you need to switch that ASAP. Now, I know a question that I'll get after this episode is, Maddie, how do I know if my audience is like too far gone that I should start over? There have been clients that I have told you should start over on a fresh account. Really, at the end of the day, is if these people were built and they are a totally different ideal customer, they don't actually connect to your product or your story, then it makes sense to start a new account. But it doesn't mean that anything is really too far gone, but I have had plenty of clients that I've said, you know what, this profile that you've been building, that you've had 3 different businesses and that it was your high school profile, and then you started this other business and now you started this business all on the same profile just because you didn't want to start from 0 followers. It's going to be really hard to grow. It does make sense to start a brand new profile. And honestly, a lot of times they see pretty quick results because they have the strategy on this brand new profile and you can see that grow. So Hillary, only other business owners engage with my content. How can I fix that? We have to identify which problem this is. You have to audit what's been going on. Which problem is it? Do you just have more small businesses? Have you just engaged with more small businesses than you have with other people in your audience? Or are you actually creating content that your ideal customer would find very entertaining, would find very inspirational, would find educational? Are you creating content, and do you actually have a content strategy? Going back to that narrative of, you're not getting any engagement, so that probably means that your content sucks. Again, of course, that's a harsh generalization to what people say, but I do think that there is some truth to it, even though it is harsh. It doesn't have to be that harsh when people say it, but there is truth to it, without a doubt, is that sometimes it really is that your content is just you talking about your product. Sometimes it can be your content strategy just isn't actually a strategy. You're just talking about your product. It's too sales focused. It's not actually interesting or engaging. So I want you to really, you have to be self-aware in business. You have to be hypercritical, or just maybe not hypercritical, but you have to be curious when you have problems like this. Okay, so nobody's engaging with you. What does that mean? Is it that your content isn't actually something that they would be willing, that they want to stick around for? Is it educational? Is it inspirational? Is it adding anything to their life? If the answer to that is no, that should be number one. Do you know who you are actually trying to attract? Do you know who you're creating content for? At the end of the day, a lot of times, if only other small business owners are engaging with you, that probably means to me that we have to look at your ideal customer and your content and your messaging just to see. But sometimes it can be an audience issue. Sometimes it can be that you have actually attracted the wrong audience. So Hillary, I wanted to dive into this a little bit deeper. Thank you for submitting this question. If anybody else out there wants me to break down their current business problems, their current questions that they have, you can submit a question in the show notes. There is a little link there. You can submit something there. I would love to answer your questions. I hope this was helpful for you. What I want you to do is look at what you're currently doing and audit it, and then look at it from the eye of your ideal customer and say, is this profile, is this content something that I really would want to consume, that you would be excited to consume? When people ask me what content should I create, like my content just isn't working, I don't feel like it's very exciting, I want you to think about what content you love to consume and start creating that content. That style of content is probably going to be something that other people enjoy consuming as well. Click the link in the show notes and submit a question for one of my next Friday coaching sessions episodes. We have a lot in store for all of 2025. Make sure that you follow or you subscribe to the podcast. You can watch it on YouTube now. Give us a 5-star review, share it in your group chat, and I will see you in the next episode.